Guys, when you stimulate her clitoris, what's your strategy? Because if you're like most guys, the answer is some version of rub it faster, and keep rubbing it. And I get it. That's basically what every movie, every show, every piece of media you've ever seen has taught you. You find the spot, you go to work on it, and you hope for the best. But here's what most guys do not realize. The clitoris has approximately 8,000 nerve endings packed into the space of the size of a pea. To put that in perspective, your entire penis has about 4,000. She has double that concentrated into something the size of your fingertip. Now here's why that matters. Most men treat those 8,000 nerve endings like a doorbell. They find the button and they just start pressing or rubbing. Fast, direct, and hard. And what happens? She tenses up, she says, whoa, that's too much. She moves your hand, or she just quietly zones out and fakes it to get it over with. And not because she doesn't want an orgasm, but because you're overwhelming a structure so sensitive that even approaching it the wrong way causes it to shut down instead of open up. In this video, I'm going to give you what I call the 8,000 nerve method. It's a specific approach that works with her anatomy instead of against it. And I'm going to show you why getting the physical technique right is only half the equation. Because there's an energetic side to this that most guys completely ignore. And if you skip it, if you get the mechanics perfect but the energy wrong, she still won't fully let go. So stick with me all the way through. The second half of this video is where it gets really good. Before we get into the technique though, you need to understand what the clitoris actually is, because most guys only think of it as that little knob at the top of her genitals. But that's just the tip. Literally. The clitoris is shaped like a wishbone. What you can see and touch on the outside, what we call the glans, is just a visible tip of a much larger internal structure. It has two internal legs that extend down and around the vaginal opening on both sides. And the whole structure is about 4 inches long internally, and it's all connected. Now, this is YouTube, so I can't show it here, but if you go to Wikipedia and just type clitoris, you'll see an image of exactly what I'm talking about. Now, why does this matter? Because when you go straight for that external tip, that little exposed button without warming up the surrounding area first, you're skipping the entire internal structure that feeds into it. You're trying to ring a bell that isn't warmed up yet. And a bell that isn't warmed up doesn't ring, it just hurts. So here's the other thing that you need to know. That external tip, the glans, it has a hood, the clitoral hood. That's a fold of skin that sits right over the tip, and its job is to protect those 8,000 nerve endings from constant stimulation. Think of it like a foreskin. It's a protective covering. And what do most guys usually do? They immediately pull it back and push it aside and, go straight for direct contact. That is, in most cases, especially early on, too much, too fast. Her body tightens instead of opens. So here's the first principle of the 8,000 nerve method. You are not trying to stimulate the tip. You are trying to wake up the whole system. And that changes everything about how you approach this. The 8,000 nerve method has 3 phases. Think of them as wake, work, and ignite. Phase 1 is wake. Before you ever touch the clitoris directly, you need to wake up the surrounding tissue. Use a broad, flat tongue or the soft pad of your finger, not the tip, not the nail, the pad, and start working the area around the clitoris, the inner lips, the area just above the hood, the sides of the hood itself, and you're pulling blood flow into the entire structure. You're warming up those internal legs. You're building the hydraulic pressure that makes the eventual more direct contact feel explosive instead of sharp. Now, most women need anywhere from maybe 2 to 5 minutes of this indirect stimulation before direct contact actually feels good. If you're going direct in the first 30 seconds, you're almost certainly going too fast. Phase 2, work. Now and only now you start making contact with the clitoris itself, but not the tip, not yet. You're going to work through the hood. Gently push the clitoral hood down over the clitoris and apply pressure to the hood with a consistent, rhythmic, small, circular motion. Why go through the hood? Because the hood acts as a buffer. It softens the intensity of the direct stimulation while still transmitting the pressure. And it's maybe the difference between touching a bruise through a layer of fabric versus pressing on it with your bare fingertip. Same touch, completely different experience. Now, this is the phase where most of the actual build happens. You stay here, you maintain the rhythm. You don't switch it up every 30 seconds trying something new. Consistency is the most underrated part of giving her a clitoral orgasm. Her nervous system needs a sustained, predictable signal to build towards release. Every time you change the motion, you're essentially resetting the clock. Phase 3, ignite. As she gets closer, as her breathing changes, as she starts pressing into you, as her hips start to move. In many cases, you can stay right there with that rhythm and bring her to orgasm. And that's honestly one of the best ways to do it. But if you want to initiate the ignite phase, this is when you can make the shift to direct contact of the clitoris if the moment calls for it. Now, at this point, the hood often retracts slightly at this point because the tissue is engorged. The clitoris has come out to meet you. Now you can apply direct stimulation. If this is her clitoris right here, let's say, and this is her outer labia or vaginal lips, I want you to put these 2 fingers to either side of her clitoris and spread her labia and give firm pressure. And this will anchor her clitoris in the middle. You're not going to use a circular motion for this. It will be a light touch or stroke like this. It's still light, still rhythmic, still consistent. Hopefully you can see that. I'm kind of exaggerating it because you're going to do it very small, but you kind of get the idea. You're doing like a small little motion like this. And you want to make sure that you have plenty of lube so you don't scratch or overstimulate her. And you're not increasing the speed dramatically. You're increasing the intentionality within yourself. You lean in with your focus. You get present. And as she approaches orgasm, most guys speed up. Her body's asking for more intensity, which she is, and you can play around with more firmness. But the key here is to not start, hammering away like a jackhammer. You just stay nice and soft and steady. Stay grounded within yourself and let her come to you. And that's the 8,000 nerve method. Wake, work, and if the situation calls for it, you ignite. Okay, so now you have the method, and I want to be real with you. If you use it, it's going to be better than what most guys typically do, almost guaranteed. But I've been teaching men about female pleasure for almost 20 years now. And I can tell you from teaching thousands of guys to apply physical techniques alone, there's a ceiling. You can do wake, work, and ignite perfectly. You can be patient. You can be consistent. You can nail the pressure and the timing, and she can still be in her head. She can still be tightening instead of opening. She can still be lying there thinking about what she sounds like or whether she's taking too long. And if that's happening, no technique in the world is going to get her there. Because here's the thing that most guys miss. Her orgasm is not a physical event that happens to her. It's a nervous system event that she allows. Now, let me say that again. She has to allow it. She surrenders into it. She has to be in a state where her body feels safe enough to let go of control, safe enough to stop managing the experience and start falling into it. And whether she can do that has almost nothing to do with what your fingers are doing. It has everything to do with the energy in the room, specifically the energy you're bringing. Here's what she feels when you're down there trying to give her an orgasm. She feels the goal. She feels the effort. She feels the checking in. Mentally, even if you don't say it out loud, is it working? Is she close? Am I doing it right? You're saying it up here even. That energy, it has a texture. It feels like pressure. It feels like a clock is running. And when she feels a clock running, her nervous system braces instead of opens. You are literally working against yourself. So what do we need to shift? There are 3 specific energies that you need to bring. And when you understand them, you'll realize why some men can barely touch a woman and make her orgasm, while other guys do everything technically right and still can't get her there. The first is connection. Connection means you're actually with her, not in your head rehearsing the next move, not mentally reviewing the technique, not thinking about whether she's close. You are in your body. She is in her body. And there is genuine contact happening between the two of you. Here's a practical way to feel the difference. Instead of focusing on her clitoris as a target to stimulate, Focus on the heat you can feel coming from her skin. Focus on the sound of her breathing. Let your awareness land on her as a whole person, not as a problem to solve. When you do that, when you actually connect instead of perform, she feels it. Her nervous system registers, he's here with me, not working on me, with me. That's when she starts to open. The second is passion. Passion is not performance. Passion is genuine desire. She needs to feel that you actually want to be there. That being there and having access to her, feeling her respond, watching her pleasure is something that genuinely does something to you. Not because you're trying to be a good lover, but because you want her, because this is genuinely pleasurable for you too. That's what the moan does in the oral sex technique that we talked about on this channel. It communicates, I love this. And when she hears that, when she feels that, something in her relaxes. She stops worrying about whether she's taking too long or whether she smells okay or whether her sounds are too loud. And she relaxes into the evidence that you are completely and genuinely into this. The third is discipline. Now, discipline in the bedroom sounds counterintuitive, but here's what I mean. The discipline to be still, the discipline to stay with one rhythm instead of when your brain is trying to say, try something different. The discipline to slow your breathing when she's getting close instead of speeding everything up. The discipline to hold your presence like a mountain, grounded, calm, unshakable, even as her energy starts to rise. When you are the still center in the room, when you are the steady force underneath all of her rising sensation, her body uses your groundedness as permission to let go. That's the combination that actually gets her there. Connection, passion, and discipline, not technique alone. The technique gives you the map. The energy gets you to the destination. So there you have it, the 8,000 nerve method. Wake the surrounding tissue before you ever touch the tip. Work through the hood with consistent rhythmic pressure and ignite when the moment calls for it to really push her towards release. And then bring the energy that allows her to let go. Connection so she feels you with her. Passion so she knows that you want her. And the discipline to hold your stillness while she surrenders into hers. When you put those things together, the right physical approach and the right energetic presence, you stop being the guy who's trying to give her a clitoral orgasm and you become the man who creates the conditions where she can't help but have one. Now, if you want to go even deeper into the energetic side of all this, understanding exactly how her desire actually works and the specific masculine energies that switch it on, I have a free training over at elevatedlover.com called Her Primal Desire Code. And it takes everything that we touched on in the second half of this video and goes much further. And you can watch it completely free. The link is in the description. Now, if this video helped you, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It really genuinely helps this channel reach more men who need to hear this. Make sure you're subscribed because we have a lot more coming up on becoming the elevated lover that she craves. And drop a comment below with any questions, and I will see you in the next video.